welcome to another showcase. This is a really exciting week. We now have Andrew, who is going to give us a mobile medley. Our mobile app is has come a really long way, and I'm just excited to see what he has to say. So, Andrew, take it away.
All right. I have so much to show. We will see how far we get in my 5 to 8 minutes. But let's start off by sharing my simulator. Okay. So often at these showcases, you'll see me take a feature that's been created on web and bring it to mobile, and just show how I've implemented it on mobile, which is cool. But today I'm going to show you something that is exclusive to mobile, and exclusive to iOS specifically. So let's take a look. You can imagine, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of someone who just took a meeting at Apple, and is talking to their agent about it. So I'm going to
Does that
tell
meeting involve
obvious.
saying, hey, we need an approval for our bot?
I'm going to tell obvious that I just met someone at Apple, and that I think his name is Craig Ferrari, and I want it to put it in my contacts. So what it's done here is open up a new contact. Here he is with all the information that I gave it. I'll say yes to that. And that is our first native tool call. So it's reaching into the contacts on your phone, and adding something there. Um, Now, I don't know who this guy is, so I'll ask obvious who I might have met. Come on, obvious, don't fail me. Don't fail me in a demo. While it's doing that, maybe let's take a look at.
Let the thing consider, okay? It's got to consider it.
While it's doing that, maybe let's take a look and see if it successfully created the contact. So it did indeed. There he is. Whoa, hold on a minute. I met the VP of software. Amazing. Now, I had his name wrong, so I should tell Obvious to fix that. So again, we're reaching into the contacts on the phone. One cool thing about this is the agent is really good at knowing what permission levels it needs, and escalating them as required. It will also tell you if you've denied permissions, exactly how to go into your settings and turn them on in text right in your chat. So that's pretty handy. So you can see here it updated the contact for me, and then lists it out again. Now let's pretend I gave Craig a call and I want to schedule a meeting with him. And we're going to see another iOS tool call happen. So this time it's reaching into my calendar. Now, this is one of the only ways to get access to an iCloud calendar. They don't have the same sort of APIs that we can hook into for something like a Google Calendar. So in this case, it reached into my device calendar. Let's go see if that worked. Now, I told it to book the meeting next Tuesday, and there it is. Now, I'm pretty forgetful, so I want Obvious to remind me about that using my iOS Reminders app as well. And one cool thing about this is it can do all of the metadata associated with reminders. It can dive into different reminders lists. It can set priorities. So it's going to set a high priority reminder to remind me to Google Craig and figure out what he's all about before I meet him. So let's take a look and see if that worked. There it is. So again, you see all the metadata there, high priority reminder. I'll figure out who this guy is before I talk to him. Now, that's 3 tool calls we've gone through: contacts, calendars, and reminders. There is a 4th tool call that is not going to work on a simulator, but let's just see how it handles not having the permission to use it. This is the phone call tool call. So on a real device, what it would do is pop up the phone dialer and have it auto-filled, and you just hit commit to send the call. So again, it's not going to work on the simulator, but this is a good example of how obvious will fall back when it doesn't have the right thing to do. Taking a little while. It's funny how when we start these demos, obvious slows down just to fool everyone.
Let me ask you, when you met Mr. Ferrari, did you notice anything about his physical appearance? Were there any outstanding elements?
You know, I've run this demo a few times as practice, and the agent will often literally say, Air Force One, you met Air Force One.
You got to find the
We'll,
stylist.
we'll stop that. I want to show you guys actually some stuff that I can only use a device for now. So let me hop over to that. So now we're looking at my actual phone here. And I've got a couple things that I want to show you here. So first of all, let's take a look at folder support. Now, folders themselves aren't super exciting, but they are very useful. There's a couple fun things you can do with folders on iOS, though. One of them is, say we want to put something in a folder, we just simply drag and drop it into the folder. So that's pretty cool, nice little animation there. Another thing you can do is pick up multiple things. So say I pick this one up. Now this is called drag flocking. That's the technical term here. And I can just add a whole bunch of things to my pile of items that I'm dragging around and sort them that way. And then one very interesting thing is I could pick this item up and leave the app altogether and go into my Notes app, maybe drop it in there, and you'll see the markdown just drop right into your Notes app, so you can mess with it on there if you'd like. Now, you might have noticed that I have a bunch of recording artifacts. What are those about? We have a recording artifact on the web now, and recently I brought it to mobile. So if you're in an in-person meeting and you want to put your phone on the desk and just record the meeting, now you can. That's this microphone button up here. So you'll see it is transcribing as I talk. Cool thing about this is it's using on-device transcription. So this doesn't cost us any tokens to transcribe on device. And then when I hit done, it will send it off to our existing pipeline for transcribing. And you get your speaker labels. You can navigate through it. You can play it back and navigate through it just by tapping on that section of text, just like you can on the web. So that's pretty cool too. And then one more feature that I have been using in the car is read to me. So if I open a document artifact here, you'll see this little play button up top. So if I hit that, you can't hear it through Zoom, but it is playing the artifact. And if I leave the app, you'll see up here in my dynamic island are all my controls. You get a random bit of obvious album artwork every time you play one of these. So that's kind of fun as well. And that's it for me. That's all the demos of iOS Obvious.
Amazing. Thank you, Andrew. I am so excited for the day that Tim Apple personally hits the approve button and we can send this out to the world. Up next, we are going to be talking about Starship Enterprise and what we are going to do to command the Starfleet. So, Mr. McCoy, why don't you tell us about that?
Oh man, guys, I have so many things to show you. I'm gonna try to fly through these as quickly as possible to try to get through this long list. Um, I've been working on a huge suite of features to support the enterprise use case. Um, a lot of these are gonna be like pretty like obvious off the shelf kind of features, but a lot of them are gonna be really impressive. I think you're gonna really like them. First things first, SSO. We now have SSO. This integrates with Okta, AD, all of the other big SSO providers. If you want to give this a try, Keycloak is now in our Docker Compose file here. So you can run a command to boot up Keycloak. It will automatically drop in a bunch of configuration there. And if you look at the comment in the Docker Compose file, it will give you all of the values to put in here. And you can give this a try. So we have SSO now. So that's very exciting. Next thing is audit logging. We now have all kinds of logs going into this audit log. You can filter, you can time box, you can export as a CSV, and there are all kinds of events in here. If you want something that you are working on to show up in the audit log, by the way, just about everything should show up in the audit log. It's event-based, and so it's very easy to add that. Tell AutoBuild to do it. Just tell AutoBuild to add things to the audit log. It already knows about all of this. So that's audit logs. Very exciting, great for compliance, huge step for our enterprise clients. Next is content policies. So content policies allow you to designate what your users can say and do and what the agent can say and do. So if you come up here and click new policy, you can choose a custom policy, or I've got some templates in here. I'm going to click on the HIPAA compliance policy here, click create. And if we click into here, we can see all kinds of policies here. So this one is a topic restriction. You can warn or block. And you've got a regex matching here, as well as keywords, and then a custom user message that you can put in to actually tell the user, hey, don't do this. There are other types of rules as well, where you can restrict specific topics, add a required disclaimer. So if someone if this a good example is if Obvious gives financial advice, you can add a required disclaimer to have it pop up that says, hey, this is not official financial advice, or hey, this is not official legal advice, something like that. The I am not a lawyer, disclaimer. Content pattern, keyword block, all of those things. And so that is content policies. Next up is data retention. If you are coming from the old flat file days, then you probably already know a little bit about data retention. Data retention means that we hard delete your stuff after a certain period of time. It's right here under the general settings. You can turn it on or off. You can set the period. After that expires, we hard delete your thing to meet any kind of data residency clauses or anything that you have. Next is IP allow and block list. This is a big one for large organizations. Their IT departments really love this feature because a lot of them operate off of VPNs, and you have to connect to a corporate VPN to access company tools. This allows that company's IT department to configure Obvious so that it is only accessible via a VPN. It can be geographically limited. It can be just from within the office kind of thing. You can even set just your own IP address. And this does not work locally, but if I actually type in a IP address here, it is actually going to flag and say, hey, you are not in the allow list. If I save my changes, it's going to warn me, hey, your IP address is not in the allow list. I'm going to turn this on in 15 minutes instead of right now so that you don't lock yourself out. So that's really fun. I like that a lot. I'm going to delete this. so that I don't lock myself out. Next thing is credit limits. So based on your plan and the configuration there, you have a certain amount of credits, right? And there's configuration in here to basically allow you to have a hard stop once you meet your once you spend all your credits, or just like pay us more money for the credits that you use, kind of thing. But for large organizations, they might want more control over that, so that one user does not blow through all of their credits all at once, and that is what credit limits does. So you can set this at the workspace level. So I can just set like, oh, every user in my workspace gets 10 credits and that's it. Or I can go in and assign individual overrides. So I can give myself 2 credits and someone else 10 credits. And if I go and try to do something here, you will see that I'll start cooking up credits. It will probably give me a warning here if I were to keep going. Let's see what we can see here. Maybe look at that. It's told me, however, exactly how many credits I've used, and once it hits 75%, it will start showing me a warning in the prompt saying, "Hey, you're getting close to your allowed limits for this billing period, so be careful." I can set hard or soft enforcement. So that is basically like when your credits expire, you're done, versus big nasty red box, but you can keep going. Last but not least is advanced tasks, which we are also kind of calling workflows, multi-step tasks. It's really just advanced options on top of tasks. But this is one of the biggest features that I have been working on. Everyone is familiar with tasks at this point. They're great for scheduling work. They're great for automated workflows. But the enterprise use case needs more advanced customization there. So we've added 3 advanced features to tasks, and those features are a gate, a condition, and an output schema. So I'm going to come down here. This task that I have here is a vendor onboarding compliance review. And the steps of this task is that it gathers details from onboarding form. It scores the risk of that vendor on a scale of 0 to 100. If it is high risk, it goes to the compliance team for review. If it is low risk, then it is just automatically approved. But if the compliance team, if it's high risk and the compliance team rejects it, then it actually generates a rejection report highlighting the risk factors and everything and remediation steps, so that we can kind of bring it full circle here. So as you can see here, a lot of these have output schemas, and an output schema is basically like this step in the task needs to produce this schema. If it fails to produce that schema, then the task fails and alerts the user. A gate is actually basically a pause on the task that says alert a human, and they need to come in and approve or reject the output of this step. So this is the step where if it's a high risk vendor, then it's going to notify the compliance lead and the CISO, and they have 72 hours to approve it. It will show them a little like approve reject box in the chat, and they get to like actually review the output of this before proceeding. The steps here, the next steps on approve or reject are configurable. So on reject, we actually you can have it retry, you can have it abort, or you can route to another step. In this case, it routes to step 5, which is where it generates the remediation report. The last bit here is the condition. And so this is actually taking a field from the output schema of the previous step, making a conditional evaluation here. And then if it's true, you get to go to one step. If it's false, you get to go to a different step. So because of this, these 3 things here give us a full state machine within tasks. And so the amount of configurability here is wild. This is a full state machine. Anything you can do with a programming language, you can do with tasks now. This is still very much in progress. So not everything about this works right now. Hopefully I'll get to show you the actually running task at the next
Cool. Thank you
showcase.
thank you
That's
so
it.
much, Matt. I want to keep us moving. We got Jamari. Jamari, you around?
Yeah, I'm right
Um,
here.
yeah. Did you get all the sand off?
The sand, what?
Yeah, well, you're telling us about the sandbox, right?
Oh my goodness. It's coming along, yeah. So this is going to be a demo of our new in-house. It's kind of like 2 things together. It's our new in-house sandboxes. This replaces E2B. We're building directly on the metal now using Cloud Hypervisor instead of Firecracker, so it's going to be significantly faster. And then the second thing is a Git-based source of truth system as opposed to our Postgres/S3 artifact management system. So right here, the prompts aren't plugged in, so I've just manually told Obvious that its project directory is a Git repository. And now it's creating a document to show you how this flow looks like. Right now in Shell, normally when it wants to create a document, it makes the document and then it automatically syncs out. Instead, what happens right here is that Obvious makes the document in this first command right here. And then in the second command, it uses Git to explicitly push it back to the user. This gives Obvious significantly more control over how users see data, when users see data. And we'll see a little bit later on that this kind of addresses a majority of our pains with like Sheets getting wonky, artifacts going weird. But first, I want to show off Sheets as well. Quick reminder in the prompt, because the prompts aren't plugged in yet, but this is going to show off Sheets in the new system. What's relevant here is that in the old shell, if you have validation rules or you have special things inside of your schema, like say enums, that wasn't represented directly inside of the .csv file. Now that our source of truth is Git first and file system first, we do have tracking for that. So when Obvious creates a Sheets, then here we are. Data syncs like normally. But what's relevant is that it will now be able to see your enums, your validations, your et cetera, directly on its file system and be able to work with those. So it's no longer going to get confused when it's doing things inside of shell and then does things with sheet operations as well. So now if we say, oh, misspell, whatever. If I do something inside of the UI or it does something with another tool, just like normal shell, it'll get synced back. So yep, it says that it can see it. Oh, 5 records. Okay. Next is the kind of biggest thing that is exciting about this, and that is the Git history. So if I say, how does the commit history look? Then normally when Obvious is doing its work, it kind of is flying forward and never backward. Now it can see a history of everything that has changed and be able to go back, roll back to previous points. So it can see right here all of its commits that it's done. That means that any tool call that it's done previously, it can track back to like, oh, this is when the sheet got changed. This is when Jamari added something. This is when the IDs got mixed up. This is when eval.js broke, et cetera, which gives Obvious significantly more ability to rectify itself when it makes mistakes with its code. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is that these runtimes right now, if you're familiar with Shell's runtimes, it's probably like 60 seconds to start up, an additional like 6 seconds per command. Right now, this is 10 seconds to start up, and like anywhere from 4 to 1 second per command. This is actually pretty slow for the system because I have a bunch of dev in process work. This is going to look more like 1 second for startup and like half second per command. So that's what I've been working on. System is whip right now. If you want to play with it, you can turn it on with the in-house sandbox flag. And the progress for this is inside of the project Git system Slack channel.
Thank you so much, Jamari. You're going to save me a trip to the beach. Cool. I'm going to go next, and I am going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about performance, and I'm going to talk about auto build together. So hopefully you have noticed in the last few days, in the last week, that Obvious has gotten a lot faster. It just does everything faster. It's moving along faster. And this was the result of a huge performance initiative that was largely built with auto build. I actually had Obvious build a folio for itself. Obvious is quite proud of all of the work that we did. But there's one thing on here that I particularly enjoy, which is Obvious taking credit for all of my work. So I committed 3 perf PRs and Obvious committed 220 because I did it all with auto build. So let's talk about how performance works and like how our pipeline works. So this is what the data looks like as it's flowing through our system. So going from back to front, first we do this process called hydration, where we read from the APIs. We load that into the browser. Then this purple stuff here, this is IndexedDB. This is a local cache that we keep, and we wanna read from that for super fast boots. And then the entire time we're sending deltas down over the event stream. These deltas then get batched using a brand new thing called the SSE batcher, which makes sure that events are not constantly flushing to the browser. Because if they were, we would have a never-ending stream of re-renders. Those events end up in Mirror, which is our front-end state machine, and then Jotai is the layer that integrates with React. So fighting the performance problems came down to a lot of areas. First, hydration, getting the database requests to dedupe, to be the most performant they could be, slowing, removing some of the unnecessary events. But a lot of this was in the re-render layer, and I actually had to build this scenario simulator because auto build really just pushed the plumbing. And I wanted to be able to deal with 30 auto build agents and like sending a lot of events per second. So this shows how the application will perform based on how many components are oversubscribed. When I say an oversubscribed component, I mean, for example, this little guy right here previously would have read the entire thread list in order to know if a single thread had changed. So auto build has really just been an absolute game changer for me. When we first built employee mode, we called it obvious on obvious, and this feels like the final boss of that. So pretty much all of my projects with auto build start with a conversation. And what I do is I go in here and I state the problem to the agent. Our agents historically have a lot of trouble reasoning about Mirror, which is our API, and I think we need a better SDK. And you can see I have this conversation back and forth with Obvious. I did this late last night. I keep iterating with it towards the North Star. And eventually I say, okay, let's build this. So we get further down, and Obvious can now handle these multiple complex tasks. It broke up the work for me into code gen and query stuff and all sorts of different parts of it. And then it goes and it babysits the PRs to completion. So this one right here is part of a release branch, which is in flight. And this is a 12,000 line change that is going to migrate us from this whole use hook thing into this manual Jotai query thing into this beautiful SQL language. I know you might be looking at this and it's wow, this is like a giant vibe coded thing, but I'm actually extremely confident in it because of the review process and the sheer number of guardrails on it. So if you were there for auto build week 1, Obvious was merging its own PRs. It was doing all sorts of silly things. We've gotten the review process really down pat, and I'm continuing to iterate on it so that Obvious will do a bunch of different strategies. It will either do single PR, multi-PR, or release branch. This one is a release branch where it's a large sweeping change that we want to test as a unit. But if you have a bunch bunch of unrelated changes, it can handle that. And these are some of the projects I'm now managing with auto build. So this one is for our new feature, pretty URLs. And this project has all the context on just all sorts of things around sharing and how like artifacts should be shared and how they're loaded and like how we manage our URLs. And I've been working on it to get this thing into the shape I want so that the URL is always up to date so that things don't redirect when they're not supposed to. And like the slugs are always there. But one of the things that I'm most excited about, which is in flight, is the worker. And the worker is, let me see if I can find a good doc on the worker. The worker is something that I have had in flight for a few days now, 5, 6 days now. And so let me tell you what problem this solves. So today, if you have 20 tabs of Obvious open, after the sixth tab, it's going to like that tab will not be able to stay connected. And we saw all sorts of problems with this, particularly in staging, which constantly is redeploying. These refreshes are a result of changing tabs, and that's a bug I'm actively fixing right now. This is our staging environment. So users with lots of tabs are still having problems, particularly in the browser arc. So what the shared worker is going to do is it is going to create one thread that does all of the client server connection, and it's going to proxy events up to the tabs. And I have this in beta right now for me. I'm working on getting this out. But the reason I'm so excited about this worker is because this is the kind of thing that I just could not in my wildest dreams build. Certainly not in under a week. Like in normal circumstances. And the reason I was able to do it is because of all of these artifacts here where I go through planning stages with Obvious, I talk through like all these different errors, and it's just really magical. There's one more thing I want to show off, which is how I've been handling things like these flash bugs. So you could see right here, I'm giving Obvious a screen recording. I do this all the time now, and I will even turn on the React renderer to see what's getting updated. If you don't know how to do this, I'll show you later. So you can see here, like these are all the page re-renders, and it used to be like the whole page was dancing the whole time, and I would just keep feeding Obvious these videos of re-renders. Obvious would split them into frames, figure out what was over rendering, and then go put up the pull request. So all this to say, I'm now writing 95% of the code I produce in auto build. I'm mostly open cursor if I'm touching a system prompt, and that's about it. The other use case is conductor if staging is down and I need to get it back up and I literally can't use Obvious for Obvious, then I'm outside of it. But I would strongly encourage, all of you to give this another try. I know week one it was very Wild West, but this has really come a long way. So I hope you enjoy the performance, and I hope you enjoy playing with auto build more as it continues to mature. Sweet. I'm going to hand off now to Dasha, who is going to go through an assistant flow for everyone.
Awesome. So the first demo is from Craig, who couldn't be here. He's eating tacos in Mexico City. But he wanted to show this demo to everybody. Can you guys see my screen? We also need to do like a sound check to make sure you can hear him too.
I'm Craig, and I want to
Can you
introduce
guys hear this?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
As we've all gone about using
You don't?
AI, we've gone from answering simple questions, getting a little bit of help with polishing an email, to working with AI day in and day out. As we've done this, the amount that we can do has rapidly increased. I don't know about you, but I used to be able to only make around 2-3 documents a day. I now can sometimes get 20 documents out in a single working session. This, along with our calendars, email, Slack, Notion, and the proliferation of tools, has made it really hard to keep up with things. Additionally, AI has gotten powerful to the point where we want to work with it more frequently. This leads us to wanting a personal AI agent and something that knows you inside out, something that you can text, Telegram, or WhatsApp, something that you can work with in Obvious or from Slack, something you can email, something you can manage your calendar. The Obvious Assistant is all of these things without having to buy a Mac Mini to host CloudBot at home. I'm going to walk you through a quick setup of the Obvious Assistant. This will give you some insight into the decisions that you can make along the way and what the assistant can do. Obvious. You can give it a name and customize it. Colors and shapes that match your mood or your vibe. If something not very personality forward is your thing, you can set it to minimal, but I personally am a maximalist here. You can also give it access to things like your CRM, your files, your meeting recordings, Salesforce, or Notion, with many more connections coming up. So now I've set up my obvious assistant. I could ask it to summarize my day, help me prepare for the next meeting, or just get started chatting. Now that I've set up my assistant, the question is, what can I do with it? Since it has access to all of my projects, my calendar, and my email, I can ask it things like, what's on my calendar tomorrow? And any important emails I've missed. As we can see, it's able to access my email and my calendar. It's pulled out a bunch of things that are coming up tomorrow. Identified that most of my email box is actually a trash fire, as expected. And said, nothing super urgent, but don't want me to pull up the Anthropic meeting invite so you can prep for tomorrow. I could do this, but what I want to do now is show you how it can create projects or help you find existing projects. Where were we working on the Deep Task project? Awesome, it's got back to me, and now I know exactly where this project is, and it's offering to take me there. But again, I want to keep this moving. I want to show you now how you can actually start to work from here. Start a project to kick off some research into Anthropic's latest Sonnet 4.6 release. The assistant is able to create projects, modify permissions, kick off work, read threads across your workspace, read artifacts and files, and create new work, or jump into existing work and push it forward. Here we go. It's created this project for us and prompted the agent. This is just a few things that the agent can do today. You're able to work with the agent here in this floating bar, or full screen where you can focus. As we built out the assistant, we realized the assistant needed a couple of new surfaces. The two I want to show you today are to-dos and then the personal daily briefing. This is to-dos. Right now, you can see your to-dos in a panel just to the right of the assistant. You'll also have a place where you can just go view all your to-dos in one go. To-dos can arrive here from meeting action items, from being assigned something in a project, or working with your assistant and having your assistant build out your to-do list. Things on your to-do list can be assigned to you, your assistant, so it can work on it in the background, or other people's assistants, or other project agents, or other people in your workspace. The next thing I want to show you is my day, or the personal daily briefing. This is a little rough, but consider it a proof of concept. But ultimately, this will be an action surface, a place that will surface up things across your life, whether it's your calendar, your email, or in your obvious projects that need your attention, and give you quick ways to resolve all of them. Your assistant will live right inside of this and have control over a lot of the things that you see here. The last thing I want to talk about is how your assistant improves and learns over time. We've built out a system called the dossier. The dossier scans your workspace, your chats, the way that you use your calendar, the way that you use Slack, the way that you email, and finds facts about you. Very similar to how an assistant or chief of staff would get to know you inside and out and be able to make nuanced decisions about things that matter to you. The dossier puts that all together, and it also gives you full control. So here you can see some of the facts that it's learned about me. It's also able to publish some of these facts, and you have full control when it does. But for example, it'd be helpful for John's assistant to know that I'm currently in EST time zone if John's assistant is trying to schedule something with me. The dossier is wide and expansive and covers many different parts of life. The dossier is secure and only available to your assistant unless there's pieces that have been published.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it here. I think the rest of it is just a recap of what the assistant is, but you guys should already be familiar with that. We've also now made the Slack channel public, so everybody should go ahead, join it, give us feedback, use it, and we hope to get it out soon. I do want to demo another part of the assistant that I'm really excited about, have been working over the last week, notifications, making sure the assistant can reach you whether or not you're using Obvious. So now as part of onboarding, you get to the step after connectors where you can set up how your assistant can reach you. You can also then customize those settings and notifications, which I will show a little bit later. I love this drag and drop feature where you can show the priority. So like you can have all those channels connected, but in case, Telegram isn't working or Slack isn't working, it can reach you on email as like a last resort. Since Karl is going to be demoing Telegram, I'm going to show off Slack. So let's go ahead, set up our assistant, start chatting. Hey, how's it going? I do want to make sure that it's fully set up first. In the meantime, I'll show the notifications screen that I've added. So for the longest time, our notification system has been pretty much all over the place. Different features implemented differently. And this is the beginning of us trying to centralize our preferences based on features. So today it exists for the assistant and agent inbox. You can edit the priority of all of these other channels that you have and rearrange them here. And then within the specific features, you can enable where your agent, where your assistant can reach you, where your agent inbox can reach you. And I hope that as we add more features, we can add more preferences here using the system that I've built. So let's go ahead and test that Slack is working as expected. So how this works is if I'm not on obvious, how's the weather in NYC today? I'm going to go ahead and close out this tab because I'm technically not on obvious anymore. And what should happen in the background is once obvious figures out that I'm not on Slack, it should actually, or not on obvious, it should Slack me and let me know what the weather in New York City is today. Takes a second. See if it arrives. Oh no. Okay. Well, I have had it reach me on both Slack and Telegram in the past. I do want to show off one more feature, which is urgency. So, your assistant can now set urgency on messages. So if something is super urgent, it's going to send out a fan out notification and try to reach you across all your channels. Send me an urgent message. Urgency to tell me to just one. And what this should do is send me a message on Telegram as well as Slack, even though I'm still on the platform. So it's trying to reach me across all of the channels that we have right now. 15 seconds. Nice. Okay, so it messaged me on my Telegram as expected. Cool. I'm gonna pass it off to Karl for a Telegram demo.
Yeah, so I think I've demoed this once before, but we've added some new features with, excuse me, with Telegram. So I have a conversation going here. We have been talking art for a little bit, and it knows I've had some art conversations in the past. So it already has some of that history that's pulling from other threads. So I want to have it actually look at a file that I have here. So I'm going to send it an image. So from Telegram, a lot of the in-app functionality that we have, being able to send files and whatnot, it works here within Telegram as well. But not only that, it now has a new tool where it can add reactions to messages that you send it. So it's doing some thinking here. Let's see. So it put some eyes on it, and then it's going to take a look at this image and start thinking about it. But you can see I've told it that I like it when you add reactions to messages because it lets me know you've acknowledged receipt or that you're doing something. And sometimes I don't even necessarily want it to respond with text if it doesn't require text. Sometimes just a thumbs up is enough for me to know that it has acknowledged what's going on. So with Telegram, you can have that textual conversation, or you can send files. You can also have it send reactions. One other thing I want to show you that is in flight but should be landing very shortly is within the app, we now have the ability to, or the assistant has the ability to add reactions to messages within the app. And you also have the ability to apply messages to the assistant's messages. So this gives the assistant a little bit more context of how you're feeling. It allows it to apply a little bit more emotion, make it a little bit more personal when it is conversing with you. All right, back to you, Dasha.
Cool. So switching over from the assistant to agent inbox, another really cool feature that our team has been cooking on. Let me share my screen again. So I'd like to show off just the new UI. There have been so many iterations on it over the last couple of weeks. So agent inbox is supposed to be your place to do deep work. So like all the tasks that you have to babysit and consistently talk through, you come to agent inbox, you write a single prompt, create it like this. You write out the description you want. You can set the due date. You can attach it to an existing project that you have. You can add any connectors that you explicitly want to use. But oftentimes, if you don't do this and it seems like you need a connector for your task, it will figure it out anyways. I've also added an employee mode so you can use it to do some coding tasks. And you can also attach files and other things. Because these things take time to run, I do just want to show like kind of intermittent steps of what it looks like. So when you first kick off a task, what it's doing under the hood as the orchestrator is spinning up a bunch of exploration threads to really make sure that the plan it presents you with next is covering all the bases. Before it creates a plan, it will sometimes ask you a bunch of questions to clarify the intentions. Once you've answered them, it presents you with a plan, and that's kind of like the anchor for the rest of the task. The plan is broken down to steps. This is the same plan card that you use in regular projects, but I've added a lot of extra things to it. For example, outcomes. Outcomes are the definitive thing that the task needs to complete in order to be complete. Otherwise, it's going to keep working on it. It's going to ping you as the user if it gets stuck and needs some input. But those are the things that it's going to produce at the very end. You can now also annotate your plans to revise them while they're in flight. But let's say I go ahead and click approve because I like this plan. Your tasks switch automatically into the plan view. And as it's working, you can see the tasks move between the backlog, the running tab, the done tab, and you can track it there. So for complete tasks, for example, I've run this 3 times to sort of show the different stages. You automatically navigate to the outcomes tab. And from here, you can go and look at those docs, look at the created things without having to navigate to the project directly. So for example, for this task, we're trying to talk to a nonprofit who's trying to see if they can use Obvious. The deep task thought the best way to do that is to create this folio to share with their team. So here we go. It was able to create it. Can also view any other artifacts. For the coding tasks, you open the PR artifact here and you can go and like view them directly. Yeah, there's a lot of improvements coming in the next couple of days as well. For example, we're reworking this UI to make it like a one-step flow so you don't have to see all of the other things that are happening in the background. But the goal is to sort of abstract all the work that you would do in a project down to the things that really matter, because the underlying project has a lot more going on. But with this abstracted view, you can have like one place that you go to see all the outcomes, and you can visit it, you can share it like a regular project. We're really excited to get this out to users soon. If you're interested, join the Feature Agents channel and give us any feedback you have.
I am excited to get those outcomes in my inbox. Speaking of nothing, I'm gonna give this off to Rock, who's gonna show us dashboards in Canvas, which is a fun. Rock, you take it, you show it.
Yeah, sure thing. So I wanted to make a place for the agent to draw and play and scribble with us. So my first interaction was trying to make tic-tac-toe and how it actually play, which is kind of weird because it couldn't see any drawings, only shapes. So now you can actually draw a tic-tac-toe board, have it play with you, and have a silly game, um, which is super fun just to see what it actually draws and does. But after that, we found that it actually does pretty good with drawing UI diagrams, full like wireframes. And yeah, one of the first things that like we went into a meeting with John actually got everybody on and tried to do like was it a start, stop, continue retro, which kind of broke everything from a multiplayer perspective. But now we have better multiplayer support and yeah, more UI elements to play with. So this thing had even like hundreds of different pieces, but yeah, so now we have a little canvas for the agent to draw with, and you can play games. Um, then the next thing I want to show is dashboards. These are layers of charts that you can arrange and sync to sheets to have real-time data flow. They're pretty customizable. You can drag and drop and play with the arrangement and the resolution. So some of these have like a whole bunch of data, some of them have none. And you can add multiple on top of each other, different chart types and different colors. So ideal here is that these sync live to all of your sheets, but ideally it'll sync to like BigQuery and external connectors so we can have hopefully our yeah, entire growth dashboard here so we can see how our users are interacting with the app. So yeah, speed run right there.
Sweet. Thank you, Rock. Let's keep the speed run going. We're going to run over time, but it's okay. Dubster, let's kick it.
All right, I'm gonna show off the attachment column. So we have a product catalog that has like some compact data, but then we also want to attach, for example, an image. So you can just upload it directly into the cell or have obvious like connected for you. You can look at this image in a split view. So just from your sheet, you can just like work with all your rich information. You can also attach an existing document, say, and also like if you want to just cross-check something, work with it like from this cell, open a split view or open the entire document and keep working from there once you found something relevant. So yeah, you can just upload an image into this cell like this. Let me find my prepared keyboard image. We have it. Okay, so, and then you can just like make sure that you have like compliance documents for all of your data. What's the HPOE? So we attach our compliance document and we like see at a glance which ones have it, which ones don't. But because sometimes it's annoying to work with like longer text and images, in this format, we also have a dedicated per record view now. So if we expand this row, we see like this is a good way to read this text. We see the image and we can flick between the records and have a convenient way to like interact with all of this. Yeah, that's all I have.
I love it. Attached to this, let's show off Saran's notification center, and then Alex will show us some images.
Okay, so I'll present. Okay, so I've been working on the notification center. So when you go here, you'll see this bell, and then it will show you all the in-app notifications from your different projects. So right now, as you can see, we have like all these different red ones, and then maybe there's some that you have read already. So you can just go ahead and mark all as red. And if I wanted to say, and then while I'm working on another project, I can still keep track of everything that's happening in that project. And if, for example, there's a notification that I want to keep track of or like something that I want to go back to, I can archive that. And so it goes into the archives here. And then I can also keep track of just the on-read notifications if I don't want to have everything all in one. And this also keeps a count here so that you know how many you have at each time, and you can go back and see like exactly what's happening in each of them.
I think you just got the highest compliment you can get from Andrew, which is he can't wait to steal this for mobile. So great job. Alex, you want to show
And
us off your
also credit
image
to
chat?
Antoine for the design.
I see pandas.
Sweet.
Alex, I think you're muted.
Okay, yeah. So for the longest time, Obvious has probably been one of the best ways to do knowledge work. But especially with a lot of our creative partnerships lately, I've been thinking Obvious can probably be one of the best ways to do creative work as well. We have so much capability, and I think now is a great chance to sort of showcase that and really make that public. So we have some images of, cute animals doing races here. But some of the work that I've been doing in image gen has been to sort of give us more steerability over what Obvious does with the images. So here, for example, we have a bunch of different options to edit this image. I'm going to say make them dogs. And we can see that we get this sort of nice, really transformation effect while Obvious sort of calls the image model in the back end and edits this image to what we want it to be. So we'll just give it a moment here and see how it does. And while this loads, if you're ever bored, one of my favorite things to do is to just ask Obvious to put cute animals in day-to-day scenarios, like running a marathon. So, okay, right here, we can see that it turned them into dogs. It looks basically, really good, as good as it gets. And if that's not enough, you can also go ahead and manually, adjust the filters, things like brightness, contrast, things like that. And you can always just reset your settings if you want to go back to the way the image originally was. So that's the progress with image gen so far, and yeah, we're really hoping to sort of push the frontier on that front.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. My only piece of feedback is you should be using pictures of our pets as the basis for the
Oh
pets
yeah.
that you put in them. That would be great. I want to see my cats in a race. Okay, we got one more thing from Dave Boz, Steve Jobs, whatever his name is. David, you want to come in and show us whatever secret CEO thing you have for us?
Yep, secret CEO thing. I'm right up. Um, you guys have been hearing a lot about auto build. You'll hear a lot more. But there's a lot of affordances that go into getting auto build to do things. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about our, faster CI we launched a couple weeks ago. We're also working on a better event system, and part of that is Obvious's ability to actually manage infrastructure, not just code. So now in Obvious, you can come in and ask it to, let's set up a new computer, or you can say server, whatever you want. I'll give it a second. All right. It'll ask me some questions. Do I want a cloud server, etc. I'll give it SSH access. And let's say deploying Grand Central. Okay. It'll ask me a couple more questions here in a second. Okay. That wants my IP address. 22. And 22 is good. Figure it out. Give it a second. Now, what's pretty cool here is Obvious will actually give me an SSH pub key. So it creates a key pair. So if I add this to the server, Done. Yeah, tell me about this machine. So now that I've added it to the server, it can we have a new mode where it can run shell basically on any machine. It has its own sandbox, the obvious sandbox. But it thinks this is a pretty big beast, as it says. It notices how much RAM there is, etc., and it's ready to go cook. It's already done some analysis on this. So you can set up any server. In the near future, will actually allow Obvious to do server and infrastructure setup. So if you want to like deploy an app or set up a database, it'll just automatically do that for you. But in this case, now that it has this machine, it can go and basically manage the infrastructure real time. So this is a pretty big component to not just server infrastructure, but also in the future, it'll be able to access your computer if you give it that access. It'll be able to work with multiple sandboxes, maybe for different purposes. But yeah, Obvious is now a multi-computer user. So it can work on its sandbox, it can work on cloud servers, or yeah, anything else we give it in the future.
This is going to be a really big change. David, you might want to rotate that key that you just shared all over Zoom. Otherwise, you're going to have sand on your face.
It's an empty box. Also, it's a pub key. So
sand on his face in the empty box.
it's a pub key. Nothing to worry about.
Okay, well, I will meet you at the pub, David. Thank you all so much for joining us for another showcase. I will see you all to see what we accomplish in the next 2 weeks. I can't believe this was only 2 weeks of work we just demoed, but have a good weekend, y'all.
All right,
Appreciate it. Cheers, everyone.